Living Passionately with Pat Brown. Today, I have the privilege of having my dear friend, Dr. Juann Watson, here with us on Living Passionately today. Dr. Watson is a full-time professor and also a psychotherapist. She assists people from across the globe with her private practice. And of course, very busy. There's been a lot going on in the news around mental health, especially since the pandemic. But recently, there seemed to have been a surge of suicide in young adults. And today we are here to talk about it. Want to get some information from Dr. Watson today to share with us, to educate the public. That is our goal here today, is really to educate the public and to prevent this crisis from getting any worse than what it already is. Dr. Watson loves the brain. She does a lot of studies and has also written quite a few articles. And she is just going to share with us today. And like I said, educate us, because the goal here is always to inspire and motivate people. So today we not only want to inspire and motivate, but also to educate. And here I have the professional with us today to share some of that information. So welcome, Dr. Watson. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome, Pat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good day, everyone. I am very pleased. I'm very honored to give this information to you. Now, I do understand it's a sensitive topic and a lot of information will be disregarded, or sometimes because it's so big, some people may disagree, and that is okay, because that's how human beings should be. So the debate, the questions, and everything that will be discussed is all welcoming.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So first, I want to address, I know in your private practice that it gets really busy. So have you also been seeing a surge with your maybe patients that you're talking to? In respect of confidentiality, we can't go into details, but in your experience, have you also been seeing a surge?
Okay, so since the pandemic, the surge is rampant. Done a lot of work at Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and with my educational background, the surge is coming because of sadness. The sadness, the weakness, hopelessness that people tend to feel and not knowing how to handle it. So we are talking about the dreaded subject. It's a taboo, suicide. Some people, it's against their religious beliefs. So I know that when we delve into this, we are going to be met with a lot of different opinions. I'm just here to educate on the knowledge base of it.
Right.
The surge is on, and the surge, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because people don't think that young men are basically weak, as you would say. I'm also from Barbados, this is where I was born. They don't think that men would actually feel so hurt.
Right.
To do this.
No, yeah, definitely. Both of us, we were born on that beautiful little rock where there's stigmas. There's a lot of stigmas. There's not a lot of opportunities for young people. We keep hearing that, and a lot of them feel at loss. Over the past 2 weeks, there were 4 young people that committed suicide over the past 4 weeks. And there have been others this year.
2 weeks, and there were 4, and they were all males.
There were, I believe, 3 males and 1 female. There was one young lady that was an entrepreneur that also ended her life. And apparently this young lady had some mental health issues, but did not reach out for help. And she was also on social media quite a bit. And apparently a lot of people laughed at her and those type of things. So, that led to it. You can elaborate a little bit more on social media and the stigmas and things like that.
Well, social media has become quite popular since the pandemic, a little bit before, but now it is what people go to because that's what they had when we were on lockdown all over the world. The thing about that is that individuals laugh. Laughter is not always being of a funny nature. Laughter can be fear. It's related to that. So the laughing of it may be the fear that people don't really want to discuss. But it's quite interesting. I want to start here, if you may allow me to, with the whole gender base, and also with, I don't know the age groups at this time, but I must say the whole aspect of, let's start with adolescence. Adolescents now have, the age group is the age of 10. So there are a lot of different research factors that we do have to discuss. The gender base of this whole thing is how we as human beings, no matter where we are from, no matter how we were raised, no matter our social economic status, we have to understand hurt is hurt, pain is pain, and sometimes you feel helpless.
Yeah.
And with all disagreements welcome, men are raised differently.
That is true.
Young men are raised differently from women. A man is supposed to man up.
Yeah.
Don't speak about your feelings. Carry on. Weakness is not allowed.
Yeah.
Be in control. And if you are being told these things, what else do you feel that you have? You don't have an out. There's not out for you but to say, I give up. Because you become paralyzed. And we all become paralyzed with our thoughts, or become ignorant with our thoughts. But the fact is, to educate someone, the first thing you have to tell them, you cannot, you should not let that being paralyzed, let that stop you. That should motivate you to do better. How do you do better? There are many different factors involved. You can write, you can talk. Most important, communication.
Right.
Communication. But if you laugh on social media where everyone goes to, WebMD, please forgive me. I shouldn't even call names, I know. But that is not where your information should come from.
Right. Unfortunately, a lot of people go to the internet. Everything is on Google, becomes their medical practitioner, unfortunately.
Yes.
Getting back to what you're saying about the stigmas with young men and, wanting to man up, those type of things. And, oftentimes I find that men don't talk about their pain, right? They're going through things.
They don't go to the doctors. They don't go to the doctors because it's a taboo.
Yeah.
It is a taboo.
It is. It really is, for a lot of men. And I don't know, what can we do to say to them to reach out for help or to seek, professional guidance? How do we get people to remove these stigmas?
Stigmas have been in place since slavery. I'm sorry to say, I had to go there, and I do. I do as a professor and as a professional psychotherapist. We don't know how to handle many emotions because they were stifled. They were stifled. And when something is stifled, it suffocates you. And you do not feel there is a way out.
Oh, that is deep. I never thought of it that way, but yeah, that is.
So a baby, not crossing you, a baby is born in this lovely world. I still think it's lovely, with two emotions. And you were born with the ability to feel love and to feel anger. When a baby is born and the child is being raised, the baby's being raised, if they're happy, they're cool. They giggle, they laugh. You do the reflexes, all of that. If they're angry, if they're wet, they're hungry, it comes up with tears. And as you get older, anger and depression are the brother and the sister, or the brother and the brother and the sister and the sister. So they are related in terms and ways that individuals refuse to accept.
That is really good, and it really makes a lot of sense. So as we're struggling with this and trying to address and educate these issues, what would you say that are some of the signs that parents or friends, co-workers can look for if someone is changing or they might be thinking of going down that route? How can we look for those keys to help us identify when someone might be not, they're not being themselves? What can we?
The thing about looking for it is not always, because people have the ability to hide. No one wants to be weak. But if you listen to words, if someone's pattern has changed, if they don't see a future as they once did, if it gets really bad, they don't shower, or they may say to you, what's the use of it? There is nothing to be done. There's a lot to be done. A lot of people say your ego, your super ego. No, it's your id that people don't realize. I'm very Freudian, if you cannot tell. So we are born with the id. Me, 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 me. What happens when that gets a little crack in it? You look into the eyes of your individuals, your children, your partners, and eyes can tell you a lot. And you can see if there's a spark of this dullness, if they stop enjoying things that they once did.
Right.
If they go into their rooms and they want to be left alone, there's a reason why. There's a reason why. It's a very hard job for anyone, myself included, to really get to the base of someone's pain. But I think family, they should know you best. Sometimes they do not, because individuals who are bent on suicide hide. They hide, and I call it the mask. They hide behind the mask, and they only let that out with tears in private.
Right, in private.
In private.
In private, yeah. I guess that is, I remember many years ago, I had a male cousin that committed suicide. And I remember after the fact, one of my, he lived in a different country. And one of my cousins, when she called to tell me about it, she said that, he was depressed. He was out of work for a while. He was looking for a job, couldn't find anything. And the country that he lived in at the time, they were talking a lot about deporting people not born there. And he felt that he was going to be deported back to Barbados, where he had left as a kid and didn't know, anything about what to do, how to really live there anymore. And he was scared, and he would stay in his room, and his mother would continuously yell at him, what are you doing? Get out, go find a job and stuff like that, not realizing that her son was so depressed. And he unfortunately ended his life. And then everyone was blaming everyone else. Like, why didn't you see? Like, my other cousins, they were yelling at my aunt, like, why didn't you notice this? And then the younger people started saying, you guys put so much pressure on us, and we are tired of it, and trying to live up to your expectations and things like that. So what can you say to some parents that, sometimes the expectations and the things that we expect from our children now, what can you say to the parents to help their children to navigate through these challenging times? Because a lot of young people just feel like they don't have an out. There's nothing to really look forward to.
Hopelessness. Parents have to not be afraid. Fear paralyzes, as I said. Parents have to, I know screaming is something that I do also, but I catch myself because I'm only human. Right. But if I'm afraid to venture into what probably can be, because you do have an inkling. As your cousin, I am so sorry. His mom had an inkling that something was wrong, but she approached it with her own fear, her own anger, and we wrap it up to her own sadness and depression. So never give up, never give up. Do not scream, speak to, lay a hand. The skin is the most amazing thing that you can do. I cannot do it in my practice because you cannot touch. But if I have to go to the hospital and a patient of mine have done something, I will always hold a hand. That is, I think that the whole thing of touch is telling you it is going to be okay. It is going to be okay.
Touch, a hug, something, yeah, because that's how we are made up as human beings.
Right? Human beings.
Yeah.
We need that. We need that compassionate side, and it comes with touch.
I saw something recently that said, you don't know what anyone is going through, so be kinder to people. Just because they might be smiling and going along, like everyone is dealing with something.
Yes.
Be kinder to people. And sometimes I see people that are being so mean and critical and putting other people down, and I think we just got through a whole pandemic, and if you live through the pandemic, you're here today alive, why can't you be kinder to someone? Why are some people still so angry and evaded
their own pain, their own loss, their own anger, and not being able to understand it? You can't give love and you can't give kindness if you do not have it for yourself.
That is true. They say hurt people, right?
Hurt people.
Yeah.
So the educational part of it is, late great Bob Marley said, you think this is heaven, but sometimes we live in hell, because we live in our own personal hell, and we get into a box or a shell, and we don't know how to get out. So we take that and we give it to other people. Kindness is not there because we're not kind to ourselves. We self-medicate, and with whatever is your choice. That is not for me to judge, but just know who you are. Look at the person in the mirror.
I think too, sometimes we talk about the negative side of social media, but I also think that there's a lot of positive to social media, because with this age of internet and technology, a lot of people are able to work online or connect with people, connect with family members. I remember during the pandemic, like my brothers and I, we had a Zoom meeting, so some of us got to and talk a lot more now on FaceTime and things like that.
Right.
But I think like sometimes the connection is lost with some people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people are not meant for, maybe I'm going to get a lot for this, but I can handle it. They're not meant for social media. Sometimes it becomes too intense and it takes you to a place of darkness.
Yeah.
There are great topics being discussed. Very, very great topics. You have to find them. But
Right.
you should also, to your previous question, you should also find what brings you a little glimmer of hope and light and love. Go to the park, take a walk, try to eat better, try to drink a lot of water.
Right.
And always look in the mirror. I do mirror therapy. Look in the mirror. Yeah, and that is where you look in the mirror and you see yourself. So you look into the mirror and you look at yourself. And I would ask my patients, what do you see and what do you dislike? Not what you like. What do you dislike about you? And it was like, oh, my nose, not. Nope. We are not talking about your physical aspects. We're talking about what do you see behind your eyes?
Oh, wow, that's deep.
Do you see sadness? And if you see sadness, do you feel it? Mind, body, and soul. Tell me where. Is it the heart? Is it the tummy? Is it in your legs? Is it in your head? Where is it when you look at yourself? And I just did. What are you seeing and what are you saying? I'm not good enough. I cannot make it. This is not for me. So another part of the mirror therapy that I do is that I have everyone have a little pad, little sticky pad, and words of affirmation that they stick in the bathroom.
Right.
Wonderful. This too shall pass.
Yes.
It hurts now. It will not hurt tomorrow. And if it does, it's not going to hurt as much.
Right. I know I do like morning affirmations. Not every day. I'm trying to get better. And this was something that you also taught me, but looking in the mirror and, saying like, I am enough. One of the things that I say daily is I am divinely guided at all times, because for me, like I need to feel protected, right? And you're alone. So how do you do that? And you just got to believe you're divinely guided, by the spirit, by your ancestors, by God.
Whatever you believe, you turn it around, you make it, and it's a positive aspect.
Right.
And it comes off of the cognitive behavioral therapy of your decision making and how you handle it. Then we can get into all types of therapies that I utilize. Psychodynamic, where we go back to our childhoods. And we're talking about years and years and years. And there's a psychologist that spoke of this when a child in slavery was getting older and bigger, and we were looked at to be sold. A parent, in order to protect them and keep them with them, would say, he's lazy. She's no good. Not because they believed it, but because they wanted to keep.
That was their protection.
The protection comes in sometimes before fear. Right. So we don't know as adults at times how to handle that.
Right. And I can see some parents doing that, saying things like, oh, he or she's not ready to leave home yet. They're not ready to go to college on their own. And trying to protect.
Fear. Yeah. That's their fear that has trickled down centuries.
So what are some things that you can leave us with, Dr. Watson, the general public, on things like removing these stigmas? Mental health is something that really needs a lot more awareness.
Yes.
And you say to the general public, because before you answer, I personally feel now, we've been friends for quite some time, and I know your practice and that you've shared a lot of things with me. And also during my times when I really need someone to talk to. So, thank you also. But what about people? I believe now that just like we have a doctor, a medical doctor, GYN, a oncologist, I feel that mental health has become so important that people need to add a therapist or psychologist to their circle. What are your thoughts about that, and telling us that how to feel normal without feeling all of these stigmas and judgmental things that people feel?
Human beings were never meant to be, I would call it, locked up in regards of being in your homes. We just came through such an enormous, immense, intense being in your house. You're on lockdown. Some people didn't have anyone to talk to. Or if you spoke to them, they didn't want to deal with it. They wanted to laugh. So we are still left. We are not out of the woods with anything.
That's true.
No one understands this. If your heart stops beating, your heart stops beating, okay? You're gone, you're flatline. If your brain is not working properly, you're brain dead. And that is the most biggest tool that we don't even know how many parts of it we don't use. So the brain, talking, communicating, loving oneself, understanding that today is today, tomorrow might be different, but let's go to 2 months.
Right.
Let's go to the end of the year. Always see what you cannot see. Your future is brighter than you think. Journal. Journaling is not a paragraph. Journaling is an adjective or a verb. Jumping, an adjective, descriptive, beautiful, lovely day. There are clouds in the sky. That's journaling. You put the date on it, and then you put your initials, and it's only for you.
Right.
We have the cell phones. My time, we did it. You can get on there, and you can also make a journal in regards to verbal. If you don't want to write, today is difficult. Acknowledge your feelings. Don't run from them. When you acknowledge anything, you can deal with it. If you do not acknowledge it, it becomes a lot harder to accept.
I agree. Well, thank you so much. I know that this conversation can go on. It's a lot broader. It's a lot more that you can share with us, but thank you so much for being on the show. And at the description, I'll also add some resources for anyone that needs additional information.
Yes.
It might be. So Dr. Watson, thank you for taking the time to share with us today to educate us and help us in removing these stigmas around mental health.
Stigmas and taboos.
Taboos.
You're quite welcome, and it's been all my pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.